By its definition, as deep tech investors, you are never investing in what you know. So it's very important for us to very thoroughly understand not just the technology, but the market limitations that deep tech investments bring with it. So I would say, if I were to list down 4 key things to look at for investors when they are embarking upon an approach to deep tech investment, the first would be to understand the limitations of the technology. For instance, in the field of blockchain, the limitations are very clearly going to be processor-based, it's going to be based on scalability. Therefore, you know that with that limitation in place, there are certain things that it can and it cannot do. And that helps us to very quickly decide whether or not to make an investment. The second is, of course, what is the true market potential? This is not just talking about what's the total accessible market, but looking at what is the true market potential, analyzing the customer segments, understanding what exactly the customers are looking for and what problems it is truly solving in terms of the global market. The third is, what are the challenges that this deep tech is going to face as it tries to upstage or it tries to replace existing technology. Replacement of technology is never easy in entrenched industries like banking, in the medical field, for instance, because it is so expensive if things go wrong. So it is very important to understand what these barriers are, because they can add years to the market penetration of a very early stage deep tech company. And lastly, I think this is something that a lot of investors sometimes forget. Customers sometimes do buy the products, customers sometimes do buy the solution, but it is often poorly adopted within their organizations itself. Almost imperative that you actually do an assessment of what the end users are going to be doing with the product and whether or not it changes fundamentally how they are doing things. If the change is too fundamental, then this has to be added to the risk factor when you do the analysis. Most of the challenges they face center around the fact that they're moving into a market that has already got very established processes in which they do things, processes that oftentimes already work, and processes that are well understood by all the stakeholders within the organization. These deep tech companies are geared for building POCs, and they have built their entire system around POCs. So when they actually get a contract to a production level contract, the POC level product is not really scalable for full production. And oftentimes we have seen cases where the company actually had to rewrite all their code just to accommodate the contract itself. And one of the weaknesses I've seen in a lot of startup founders is that they don't do a really proper stakeholder analysis. For a medical institution, for instance, it does not just involve the hospital administration purchasing the system or purchasing the product. It also involves the patients, it also involves the doctors, it also involves the nurses. And if all these other stakeholders can't come to an agreement or can't be comfortable with what is being rolled out, then you can be sure that this is not going to be a very successful sale.